The tall, gangly thing?
Hello and welcome. Today I'm joined by Team Vitality's Salvyyy, one of the top 16 players trying to qualify for TFT World at the European Regional Qualifiers. Salvyyy, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. I'm excited to be here.
So for anyone who may not be super familiar with who you are, why don't you just go ahead first and tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm Salvyyy. I'm playing for Team Vitality right now. I'm streaming on Twitch, and honestly, I'm more focusing on competing than playing or streaming at the moment. And yeah, I've been playing TFT ever since it came out pretty much. I didn't play PvE. I played a bit when it launched and played when Ranked was back. And yeah, I've been on the top of the ladder pretty much every set since then.
Yeah, like you said, been top of the ladder, very competitive player. We've seen you in a bunch of different tournaments. But what was it that actually made you want to pursue competitive gaming? Have you always been a competitive person?
Yeah, I was always a competitive person. Pretty much at whatever I did, I tried to be the best. And then gaming, I've been gaming my whole life pretty much, ever since I turned like 4. Pretty much. And yeah, TFT wasn't really planned. Before TFT, I wasn't even really gaming much. The only thing I really did was like watch CSGO. So I was really into the CSGO competitive scene, not as a player, but just as a fan and watching. And then TFT came out. It was like the first game pretty much in 2 years that I even touched or that hooked me. Yeah, I grinded like till dawn again, which was like a new feeling to me. Like, honestly, games didn't really interest me the 2 years before. I had no plans on like competing or anything. I just kept playing. It was so much fun. Rank came out. I kept pushing, and then at some point I realized I'm pretty good. I started streaming. Yeah, I am now.
So I mean, you said 2 years. You really didn't play any games. What was it about TFT that hooked you?
Honestly, it was just the fact that you had to make so many decisions, and also that it was new. I really like games when they come out and you start from scratch like everyone else. But it was Dota Auto Chess, which some people played. I didn't, but besides that, I felt like everyone started on an even playing ground. And then as a competitive person, that's obviously what I'm looking for, right? No head starts for anyone.
So you mentioned signed by Team Vitality. You're living in Germany. What does the German TFT scene look like?
The biggest streamer is Sologesang. He's pretty big on Twitch and was also competing at Worlds. And then besides that, the German TFT scene is, compared to like French one or even the Spanish one, it's kind of small. It's still in its growing steps. I know some people are working behind the scenes to maybe get some stuff going, which is honestly also hard because the spectator mode isn't out yet. So it's kind of Sologesang being like the front face of German TFT. And then there's me, I guess, but I'm streaming in English, and I'm honestly not that connected to the rest of the German scene.
Does streaming in English, do you feel like that makes actually a difference with how connected you are to the German player base?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, sure, I'm talking to some like on Discord and stuff. It's not like I don't know them, I don't talk to them, but like being connected, and they make some community tournaments, and then obviously just on the game on Twitch that they rate each other and talk to each other a lot. And I mean, I'm still in their chats. I'm talking to them, but yeah. I guess I'm somewhere in between, right? I'm pretty connected to like the EU guys, and then also the NA guys, and then some connection to the German TFT guys.
Was your decision to start streaming in English, was that mainly because you wanted to start reaching new people with like the English player base? Was it for any other reason? Is English more comfortable?
Honestly, it was just to improve my English. Like, I was like, if I'm gonna stream, I might as well try to improve my English as well. And then also like long term, I thought it was just better to have a bigger audience to reach, which right now might not even be the correct move, like in hindsight, because there's honestly a big space in the TFT community in Germany, and there's pretty much only like Solo and maybe Ledak that have a standing there. But yeah, well, when I started streaming, it wasn't like to get as big as possible or anything. I was like, I just want to share my gameplay and really talk to some people. I never thought I would take off anyways, to be quite honest.
Well, let's fast forward to today, where, I mean, people are definitely paying attention to you right now. You are at the top of the standings, you're point leader right now. Talking about competitive TFT, I remember back in set 4.5, there was a North American streamer who made a comment saying, at the highest level, the margins between each player are so small that really competitive tournaments come down to who's going to high roll on that day. Now, I want to point out that currently in solo queue, you have something like a 73 or 72% top 4 rate. It seems to me like you make your own luck, that like this idea of high rolling obviously has some impact on you, but you have kind of figured out some way to play consistently despite any sort of variance. Do you agree that at a high level, the margin between players is too small?
Well, first of all, sure, that the margin is small, which is also, I think, part of the problem of the format. Like, sure, in 5 games of TFT, anyone can win, right? Like, everyone knows, like, if someone has like 2 or 3 bad games out of those 5, doesn't matter, he's probably going to drop out. Besides that, the way I look at the game, I'm just trying to min-max literally every game, every turn, and try to make the best out of what I can. Like, I'm not the type of guy that plays like for first every game, which I honestly started doing more in prep for the tournament, because first place gets so heavily rewarded right now that you have to take chances pretty much. I think that's a mistake I did for like previous tournaments or worlds, where I just used my gameplay to secure top 4s, and in the end I felt like on day 2 or 3 to people that just had more first places. But yeah, I would agree. Like, if you look at like 5-game format, the margins are really, really, really small. Sure, you can have a lead and a gap, and some players perform better than others. But yeah, I'd like to add to that, I think I would love like a league format, like play like 5 games weekly, similar to like LCS or LEC, which I think would work really well for TFT. You would have like to play on different patches. And just have like, if you think like 8 weeks, 5 games, you would have like 40 games banked. And I think then the margins actually get quite big, and you would see the best players on top pretty much consistently. Yeah. Yeah,
I remember, I want to say it might have also been 4.5. Soju had talked about Keen not making it for OCE. And he had said that at the time, whenever this was, that if you had put Keen in a game, in 100 games with basically any player in the world, he's almost always going to be one of the top, if not the winner. But unfortunately, like you're saying, like the format doesn't necessarily reward the best player. There is going to be some sort of variance. So I think a league structure does sound really interesting. Maybe we'd see someone experiment with that in the future. So let's talk about the actual games that you've played so far in the tournament. Obviously, you've done super well, point leader at this time. How do you feel about your run so far?
Honestly, I'm really happy with how I played. I had like some straight up really good games, which I went like first, and it felt pretty free. And that's some really bad games where I thought they were just doomed, which I managed to get out of a bad spot. And yeah, I think I played consistently. I kept calm. I stuck to my game plan, and it feels really good when that works out in the end. It felt really good.
What does the preparation for a tournament like this look like? Is it really just solo queue? Is there more beyond that?
Honestly, I'm not the type of guy that spams games. I really like. If you look at the ladder, I have like half of the games of the remaining people pretty much. Like, they have double my games until this point, and this set is what out for like 3 weeks now, I think. What I usually do is I like to watch a lot of streams as well on the side, because it's just more time effective. Like, you can watch like 2 or 3 players and skip to like different parts in the game where it's like interesting. Like, I don't need to watch like an early game of a high roller and stuff, but maybe some guy has like an interesting decision to make in the like stage 4 and stuff. So I think like time-wise, watching streams is really effective. And then obviously you have to play some games as well to get into like the habit and rhythm and test stuff out yourself. And then what I also did was a lot of theory crafting, just opening like a builder and looking at items. I looked at a lot of stats on some sites, which I usually don't do, but for this world, I really went like all the way.
There are 16 players total, 15 others besides you, obviously. Who are some of the strongest players left in the tournament? Is there anyone that you're concerned about playing?
I'm not concerned about anyone, no. And honestly, I think the competition this time is honestly the weakest it's ever been in the top 16, because like so many good players are out. Hydra's not even playing, Fluffy didn't make it, Dasic dropped, Volta dropped, Double dropped. Like, most of the best EU players are already out. Obviously, there's still Luke left, Thray left. Those are probably the 2 strongest people besides me in the tournament. And yeah, as I said earlier, it doesn't really matter because on a given day anyone can win, right? But I think this is really my time to make it towards this time. If I don't make it, I'm going to be sad.
Last Worlds, we saw the 4 major regions do pretty well, apart from China, who really kind of faltered at the world stage. But of the 4 major regions, how would you rank them?
It's always kind of hard because I didn't play against most of them, so it's only from like watching some players. Like watching 2 players out of a whole region is kind of hard to make a statement. But I still think EU is on top. Because maybe it's just because I know the EU players so well, but just looking at some groups already, like I feel like those could have been like world groups already. And then I think it's kind of close. Like obviously NA has its good players. Like some Korean players really impressed me. And then still the minor regions also have good players. Like Brazil, they also performed really well both worlds. Honestly, I think it's just down to like every region has great players. But I think like the amount of talent in Europe is the highest, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely understandable. I mean, Europe has definitely put up results at every World Championship so far, so I think you guys have earned that title. Like you said, you've been playing TFT essentially since it came out, since after PvE. What have been some of your favorite moments in your TFT career so far?
That's kind of hard. I think my favorite moment is probably hitting rank 1 for the first time. Because that was just surreal to me. Out of so many players, I was ranked the best. So yeah, probably hitting rank 1 the first time in set 1 was a great feeling. And then also hitting rank 1 and 2 always feels really great because it's something special. I can probably also name the first tournament I played back in set 1, which was actually on LAN in Paris. I flew out to Paris, met like people I only knew before from online. That was honestly really fun. It was a different experience completely, and makes me kind of excited like for the future of TFT once like the COVID things hopefully calms down and we actually have in-person events for the first time again. So yeah. Kind of excited if China is really taking place worlds in China. I would be really excited to fly over.
Yeah, it is really crazy to think that like almost the entirety of TFT has been within COVID, right? That like we just haven't had these events, especially like even while we've had these World Championships. Talking about some of your favorite moments, something I wanted to ask you about actually is back in set 3. You played in the Giant Slayer European Cup, where you represented Germany. You guys actually won the event, I believe, against France. In the U.S., we have states, but obviously the regional camaraderie of a state is not the same as like the regional camaraderie of a country. What is it actually like to play alongside your fellow countrymen and actually compete in a tournament like that?
Honestly, that was probably the most fun tournament I ever played. Like the format was so good. You had to compete directly against a different nation and stuff. Like the format was so well done. And then obviously for tournaments, I think team-based tournaments are so good for viewer experience. And I didn't hear anyone, like any player, say anything bad from their point of view about tournaments that are done 2 versus 2 or 4 versus 4. There's just something when you sit all day, play alone, and then you get to play a tournament, have your best friend along your side, and it just clicks. It just clicks. It makes it so much more fun. So yeah, I would love to like have maybe a 2 versus 2 or 4 versus 4 official Riot tournament in the future for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a sentiment that a lot of people would agree with as well. So let's kind of talk about your long-term goals with TFT, or even maybe just competitive gaming in general.
It's honestly just to be the best. Like right now, my whole focus is just on winning on Worlds. I'm pretty much like for the past 2 weeks, I'm practicing every day. I try to get some sports in. I do meditation. Like I'm just trying to really improve right now. And yeah, like my long-term goal right now is just be the best and win Worlds.
Awesome, man. Well, you have a weekend up ahead of you, not this one, but the one after. So I'll be rooting for you. I hope to see you do well. Is there anything you'd like to shout out before we go?
Honestly, probably just Teamfight Tactics and my sponsors. They're always there for me. Whenever I have a problem or need someone to talk, they're there. And besides that, I guess shout out to the TFT community. Keep supporting me. If you don't, well, cheer against me. I'll prove you wrong. And yeah, that's probably it.
Fantastic. Well, Salvyyy, thank you again for joining me, and to everyone watching, thank you guys for getting through this entire video. If you guys enjoyed it, please like and subscribe for more TFT coverage and content, and I'll see you guys next time.